this thing off. First of all, welcome everybody. Happy Friday morning / whatever time it is in your time zone. And we're going to dig into meeting the mentor today. So just meeting the mentor. Now, we've already, and there was a previous session that we did talking about the mentor archetype, what kind of mentors there are, what the background of the mentors are as far as how they relate to the hero, aka your prospect. For today's workout, we're going to spend a little more time in trying to get into the head of your prospect when they actually meet the mentor, which in this case, for these purposes, is you. So in this case, you're the mentor, you're the trusted advisor. And what we're trying to do is help the stranger begin to trust you, or trust you enough to take that next step, to step across the threshold, they would say in the hero's journey. So, and the way we do that is typically with social proof. So we're going to do some different writing exercises around that and unpack that a little bit more. Both business tactics that we've learned with my own team, as well as lessons that we could learn from psychology, evolutionary psychology, hero's journey, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, here we go. So a quick recap on the hero's journey. The hero is not you. It is not your product. It is not your company. The hero is your customer or prospect. And in most cases, you as a person selling is the mentor. Even if the product is you, the mentor framework is still useful. And the goal here is to get that prospect across the threshold, to step out of their norm into something unknown. You take them through a buying process, aka trials and failures. They learn some stuff, they experience some cool stuff, and they bring it back to the old world to them, which would trigger, in some cases, a referral, a renewal, repeat business, another purchase. Now, in the mentor framework, one of the things that we expect is most of us would expect a little pushback. So in the Matrix, when Neo finally meets Morpheus and they're sitting down and having that meeting, you expect a little pushback. It's like, man, you're crazy. And Morpheus just smiles at him and is like, hey, do you want to keep living in the old world, or do you want to have your eyes open and be in the new world? And there's the blue pill or red pill situation. And the Matrix itself is one of those stories that fits the hero's journey perfectly. I mean, it's just like word for word, page for page fits the hero's journey. And that concept of the blue pill and red pill is actually something that I've recently seen unpacked in Buddhism, actually. There's goes back really, really far, this concept of the unenlightened versus the enlightened. So that's typically how we see things. However, the cold reality is in business is that the people that you're talking to, the people you are trying to convince of something, have baggage in the form of other mentors, other people they have spent money with, other people they have trusted, other things that maybe didn't work out that well. And in some cases, these people may not have led them astray, but it may have been either an emotionally unsettling experience. I mean, when Luke Skywalker first met Yoda, he was like, whoa, this is creepy. He was creeped out. Now, Yoda was super smart, but he was really creepy. It wasn't exactly a Flintstone vitamin of training. It was mega awkward for him. In the case of Willy Wonka is the mentor in that story. And oftentimes he was pushing away the hero, Charlie. He was pushing away the hero. He was trying to scare him off. That was part of the training. It was a really awkward and almost unsettling And I mean, rewatching that film as an adult, he was creepy. And of course, the Johnny Depp version is even worse. But that's a different topic for a different day. In the Hunger Games, Haymitch, he was an asshole. Let's call it what it is. He was not cool in a lot of ways. He still helped Katniss along the way, but he himself was reluctant. He was a reluctant mentor. So people throughout their business life, throughout the time of actually being a consumer, being someone that decided how money was spent, has likely encountered dozens, scores, hundreds of mentors over the years in the form of bosses, trainers, coaches, consultants, and more often than not, they were probably burned. I mean, they aren't even reading the message from you unless they're looking for something better. There's at least some semblance of curiosity there. So it's important to understand and to just assume that whoever you're reaching out to has been burned before, has maybe had a profitable or a valuable experience buying a service or a product from somebody else, but it may have been unsettling. It may have left a bad taste in their mouth. So this is just something to consider. So the way that we could attack this problem is with social proof. In marketing, social proof is the as featured in strip, as featured in the New York Times and TechCrunch and Huffington Post. It could be pages full of testimonials. Oh, this show changed my life. This book changed my life. This speech changed my life. It takes all different forms. Now, when you're looking at it through a mentor framework, there are a few ways, frameworks, approaches, angles of attack, call it whatever you want, of how you could frame yourself as a trusted advisor. And they're radically different, actually. So not everyone's going to be going Yoda style. Not everyone's going to be, the cool and calm Morpheus. Not everyone's going to be the grizzled old man, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Not everyone's going to be the eccentric Willy Wonka or the beautiful Glinda the Good Witch, right? So, and ultimately, these different angles, it goes down to your comfort level and your prospect's comfort level. The hero's journey, the sales process in general, is an exercise in discomfort. You're trying to convince a stranger to take a step into the unknown and do something uncomfortable. And it may just be spending $10. I mean, it's really odd. And people say, well, it seems like this would make sense if you're selling something for like a $75,000 Tesla or something. But people have very deeply seated emotions and baggage and triggers and experiences around buying processes. Then sometimes it's scary, it's nerve-wracking. In other cases, it's just annoying. They're easily annoyed now. So I'm going to rattle through a few of these and give you some examples. So one angle is, hey, I've been where you're at. I've been where you're at. I've been in that situation before, and I think I could help you because I've been there before and I survived it and I came out looking better on the other side. I've already been through that hero's journey. Yeah, it's hard, but it's awesome. And with a little help, I can make it easier for you than it was for me. All right. Another one is the angle of volume of experience. So I've helped tons of people that are in your exact same situation. My product has helped 52,000 people lose 50 pounds in a year. Seems like an odd scenario, but weight loss is one of that market's never going to go away until they stop making fatty foods and people don't stress eat, which I don't think will ever happen. Fairly certain that's evolutionary as well. But that concept of, hey, I've mentored a lot of folks that are in your situation. The challenge of that particular angle is that no one wants to look like they're categorical. They don't want to be like, oh, so I'm just another one of those, huh? I'm just another business owner to you. I'm just another producer. I'm just another journalist. No one wants to. Everyone wants to feel special. So I would use that angle with the light touch. I've seen this next one a lot is I'm more important than you. So, hey, yeah, we're both in the same industry, but the industry has made it clear that I am a bigger deal than you, and you should listen to me. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this approach, but in certain market, it is very effective, very, very effective. So think about that idea of status. And you may only be one rung up the ladder from the person that you're talking to, but there are ways of using that without coming off as egotistical. But oftentimes you do need to be egotistical because depending upon what you're selling, the fear level may be high enough that's like, hey, I just want someone that's been through it before, or someone that seems stronger than me. Maybe not a bigger deal, but stronger. Stronger in business, stronger in life, a stronger product, more robust process, et cetera, et cetera. Another angle to take, say, hey, people that everybody trusts, they already trust me. You know, Mr. Rogers, when he was alive, if I was able to say, yeah, Mr. Rogers loves my teaching method, he trusts me to teach his kids, kung fu. that would be a really big, a really high impact statement to make. Now it has to be someone that's already trusted by people in that space, though. I've seen people it's like, oh yeah, I work with so and so, and if someone's mired in scandal or controversy, it's not really a trustworthy person, but it is an effective angle to take. And the final one, this is very much the grizzled old man, the wise old woman angle. They don't need to be old to pull it off, but it's more based on depth and length of experience. So, hey, I'm retired, but you can borrow my tools. Like I've learned all this. I was talking to a client a couple of weeks ago up in Seattle, and they have a food business that's growing really fast. And right now, yeah, they're always going to need marketing. So we're helping them with that. They're going to need to do some things to expand their reach out of their comfort zone a bit. They'll need to do that. But right now they need an actual mentor, someone who's been all of the things before and isn't necessarily in their space, but knows how to navigate the choppy waters, has a toolkit that actually is proven to work, which is not always a technology thing. A lot of people confuse it with that. Oftentimes it's more tactical, it's more black book based. So, all right. So social proof. There's three major things you need to consider when you're using social proof to build or to forge trust with a stranger. Is one, which we've already covered, you really need to assume that they already have some of that mentor baggage, that they've been burned before, they've had a sloppy experience before, or maybe they've done something that worked and then it stopped working. They got their hopes up and then the market fell out, and I see this a lot in consulting. It's like, yeah, we had this great consultant. It was like, we're like best friends. He was an usher at my wedding. And then he disappeared, like right in the midst of our biggest campaign ever. I feel so betrayed. And I hear that story every single day. So a lot of people don't want to be abandoned either. So assuming that there's some form of baggage there, it could take any form of emotional response, but regardless of the form of emotional response it is, it's going to make your job harder. So just if you assume that right out of the get-go, it's going to help you frame your words to be more sensitive and more deliberate. The second thing is you really need to avoid generic language. So I'll give you an example. People that have bought this kit experience a 20% gain in happiness. All right. I've seen phrases like that in emails and landing pages and on billboards and brochures. And the problem with it is, even though there's numbers in it, it's still generic. Now, if you said that in the past 12 months, this kit has helped 2,432 war veterans get better sleep, gaining an average of an additional 97 minutes of deep sleep a night. That seems like a lot of numbers, and that is the third thing on our list, is to use numbers. But you notice the specificity that it's war veterans. And the specificity is how you could actually say, yes, I've helped someone just like you. If you go to a stranger, like in the case of like a product, right? So let's say a piece of hardware, right? A video camera or lighting. And one of our clients right now is a Lume Cube. They do these really cool lights. Now, they could say, when I first met with them, I was like, who are your customers? Oh, anyone that likes to take pictures and videos and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's not helpful at all. Like, who are your real customers? Who is most excited about your product? And it took about 20 minutes, but once we dug into it, we were able to uncover that their biggest center of bullseye client are people that are drone enthusiasts, either professionally or as amateurs, or they just do it as a hobby. The people that fly these drones are like attaching their cool lights because they're lightweight, battery powered, et cetera, et cetera. So that level of specificity is like, okay, so when we reach out to drone pilots, that shines through. Like, yeah, we have, 25,000 people sign up to our list specifically because they're attaching our stuff to drones. So now that brings up the last point. I forgot where I heard it, but it was a phrase that said, you can't trust any number that ends in a 0. Even if the actual number is 20%, people are going to believe 19% more. They'll believe that number more. It's just a psychological thing. I don't know exactly why. It just is what it is. So, all right. So here are a couple of examples. And I just truthfully, I banged these out this morning. So there's a few things that when I'm crafting a cold email that I'll use almost in a checklist format is I either want a name drop, I want a number drop, or I want a quote drop. So this example here, I just used Tony Robbins. I mean, he's a really well-known name, right? I really taught Tony Robbins a better way to tie his shoes. So notice there's specificity, but it's a name drop. So I was like, yeah, a trusted, established person, high status person, is learning from me. I'm teaching the world's foremost life trainer, right? A number drop doesn't necessarily have to be impact related. And oftentimes that's tough in the beginning. Like if you're a startup, it'd be difficult. Now, like for Charlie, who's on this cause, who's a photographer, there's a lot of commercial photography and niche photography. A lot of it may be, how many photographs have been published? How many of his photographs are in print? That number may be smaller, but maybe higher impact. And that's one of the things that we don't have to invest a lot of real estate, like that much of the content towards numbers, because that if you do it too much, it seems like you're really trying too hard. But it's one of those things at minimum, I would want to say that there needed to be at least one line in a cold email that references numbers that displays the depth of your experience. And it may be that if you're a startup, if it's a new product, like Brad, you're in this particular situation, it may be that like how many people have the same problem as you. Like in your case, it would be there are, 94% of collegiate sports teams are still doing this manually. This is a giant problem that my product could fix. So last thing is quotes. I put this last because I think people really overuse it. If you're going to do a quote, it's best to do something that is a name drop as well. Testimonials are too easy to get, and so many people overuse them. And in some cases, it's not super believable. And some of my favorite testimonials about me personally are the ones like, yeah, the first time I met Nate, he was a little scary, with his terrorist beard and stuff. But once we got through the initial weirdness, like my company's making a lot more money now. I love those testimonials because it's more believable. So just something to consider. All right.